Have you ever noticed that your mornings feel different now? You wake up feeling rested, but your body stays quiet. The mood's off, the energy's not there, and something about how you feel just isn't the same. It's not always about age. Sometimes it's just habits we've followed for years without realizing how they affect us. Today I want to talk about 5 common morning habits that can quietly weaken a man's vitality, and more importantly, what you can start changing as soon as tomorrow. No pills, no shame, just real care for yourself. Let's start with one habit that surprises a lot of people: reaching for your phone right after waking up. I know it doesn't sound dangerous, it's just checking the news, weather, or maybe a quick scroll through messages. But what many don't realize is how fast the body reacts to that screen. The second you wake up, your brain is shifting from deep rest into full alertness. And if you jump straight into emails, bad headlines, or social media noise, your stress hormone, cortisol, surges. This early spike can throw off your hormonal balance, especially testosterone, which plays a major role in energy, confidence, and yes, healthy sexual function. Over time, these little stress hits build up, and the body stops responding the way it used to. Not just in your mood, but in your circulation, your drive, and your ability to feel fully awake and alive. I've seen it more than once with older patients, men who felt their spark was fading and couldn't figure out why. One example that sticks with me is Raymond, a retired electrical engineer from Dayton, Ohio, 67 years old, sharp mind, active enough for his age. He came to me, not for anything urgent, just a general feeling of slowing down. His words, not mine. I asked him to walk me through his mornings, and he said, "Well, I usually open my eyes, reach over, grab the phone. I like to check the stock market, the local headlines, maybe email." I asked how long that usually takes, and he chuckled. Could be 20 minutes, could be 2 hours, depending on the mood. When we dug into it, we realized he was starting each day with mild anxiety, not enough to notice at first, but just enough to keep his system on edge. I suggested a small challenge, just 1 week without the phone for the first half hour of the day. Instead, he made himself a glass of warm lemon water, sat quietly on the porch, and focused on breathing. Within 2 weeks, he told me, "Doc, I wake up with more energy, and something else is back too." He winked. No prescriptions, just a different rhythm. What often helps here is choosing a simple anchor to begin your day, something offline, physical, and calming. For example, filling a glass of water, stretching your arms gently by the window, or stepping outside for even 5 minutes of fresh air. The goal isn't to avoid the phone forever, just to give your body a chance to wake up before the world barges in. Most people find that even 20 minutes without a screen makes the morning feel quieter, less rushed, and surprisingly, more grounded in their own body. And here's what I always say: your strength isn't just measured in how much you can do, but in how well you care for yourself. Big changes don't always start with big efforts. Sometimes it's just a small pause, a breath, and the decision to wake up with yourself first, not with the noise of the world. You're still strong, you're still here, and you still have the power to choose how you begin each day. Here's another habit I see all too often: starting the day with nothing but coffee or skipping breakfast entirely. Now I understand the routine. Many of you grew up in a time when a strong cup of coffee was considered enough to wake up the system, and eating could wait. But what happens inside your body tells a different story. When you wake up, your blood sugar is naturally low. Your body is in a fasting state, and it needs fuel to regulate hormones. If you drink coffee on an empty stomach, it spikes acidity in the gut, stresses your adrenal system, and sends your body into a mild survival mode. The result? Your testosterone, a hormone that depends on a steady flow of energy and nutrients, doesn't get the signal to rise. Over time, this small habit can dull your vitality, reduce morning erections, and leave you feeling sluggish or off without knowing why. I remember working with Walter, a 73-year-old retired accountant from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Walter was sharp, practical, and like many men his age, set in his ways. His morning routine was a tall cup of strong coffee, maybe a slice of toast by mid-morning, and a bigger meal closer to lunch. When he came to me, he wasn't complaining of anything dramatic, just a general drop in morning energy and what he described as nothing going on downstairs anymore. After ruling out any medical conditions, I asked about his eating habits. When he told me his breakfast was basically just caffeine, I explained what that might be doing to his hormones. Walter was skeptical at first. He'd been doing this for decades. But he agreed to try a small shift. For 2 weeks, he added a soft boiled egg, a small bowl of oatmeal with a few walnuts, and water before the coffee. That was it. At our next check-in, he laughed and said, "Doc, I think something in me woke up again. His energy came back, and more importantly, he felt like himself again. No medications, no big changes, just a better morning start. One of the simplest ways to help your body in the morning is to treat it with fuel, not just stimulation. Start with a little protein, like an egg, a bit of yogurt or cottage cheese. Add a complex carb like oats or whole grain toast. A few nuts or seeds for healthy fat are a bonus. And most importantly, don't let coffee come first. If you absolutely need your coffee, at least pair it with food. Your body reads food as safety, and when it feels safe, it produces the hormones that support strength, mood, and sexual health. Here's what I want you to remember. Taking care of yourself doesn't always mean big sacrifices. Sometimes it's just about giving your body what it's quietly been asking for all along. Your health, your energy, your confidence, they're not gone. They just need a little kindness to come back, and that kindness can start with breakfast. You deserve that. Let me tell you about a habit that sounds healthy but can actually backfire, especially after 60. Jumping straight into a cold shower first thing in the morning. Now I get it. Cold showers are having a moment. People talk about energy, circulation, mental clarity. But here's what most folks don't realize. Right after waking up, your body is still in a gentle, vulnerable state. Your blood vessels are slightly constricted, your blood sugar is low, your muscles and nervous system haven't fully come online yet. And when you shock your system with cold water before warming up or eating, it triggers a stress response. Your vessels clamp down even more, your core temperature drops, and that puts extra pressure on circulation, especially in areas where blood flow is vital, like your brain and your pelvis. For men, that often shows up as weaker morning erections, low energy, or feeling tense rather than alert. The older we get, the more gently our bodies need to be treated at the start of the day. A few years back, I worked with Frank, a 69-year-old retired Navy officer from Jacksonville, Florida. Frank had that old-school mindset, discipline, first, feelings, second. He woke up every morning at 5:30, went straight to the bathroom and turned the cold water on full blast. Then he'd march around the block like he was still reporting for duty. He told me he did it for decades and felt sharp, but lately he'd been noticing some changes. His energy dipped by midday, he was waking up stiff and moody, and, in his words, nothing was saluting anymore. We ruled out medications and underlying conditions, and I asked if he'd be open to tweaking his routine. Reluctantly, he agreed. I had him drink a glass of warm water right after waking, eat a light breakfast, something simple like eggs and fruit, and do 10 minutes of light movement before stepping into the shower. And this time I asked him to start warm, then finish cool if he liked. 2 weeks in, Frank walked into my office grinning. "Doc," he said, "I think I found my switch again." His energy was steadier, his mood improved, and yes, the salute had returned. What often helps is reordering your morning just a bit. Give your body time to wake up. Try this. Start your day with a small glass of warm water, do a few arm circles or leg stretches, then eat something with protein and healthy fat. When you do get to the shower, begin with warm water to open up your vessels, and if you enjoy the cold, finish with a short burst, no longer than 30 seconds. That way you get the benefits without the shock. Here's what I'd like you to remember. Strength isn't about punishing your body. It's about knowing when to push and when to listen. You've earned the right to take care of yourself wisely. A gentle start doesn't make you weaker. It sets you up for a stronger day. Even small changes like this tell your body, I'm here, I'm paying attention, and I still choose to live fully. Here's something most people never think twice about: taking your morning medication without checking if the timing still suits your body. If you're using blood pressure pills or diuretics, the kind that help control fluid or support your kidneys, the routine probably feels automatic. Wake up, take your meds, start the day. But over time, especially after age 60, the body becomes more sensitive to timing, hydration, and circulation patterns. Some of these medications reduce your blood volume or relax your vessels, which may help your heart but also lower blood flow in areas where it really matters, including the pelvis. Taken too early or without food and water, these effects can be stronger than intended. That may leave you feeling dizzy, fatigued, or disconnected from your usual energy. In many older men, it also quietly affects erections, not because of age alone, but because the system is simply underfueled and over-depleted before it even gets moving. I'll share a case that stuck with me. George was 74 when he came in for a routine checkup in Milwaukee. Kind man, always on time, polite, sharp as ever. He'd been on a stable blood pressure regimen for years, a mild diuretic and an ACE inhibitor, both taken around 6:30 a.m., right after waking up. He didn't think much of it until he started noticing changes: slower mornings, lower drive, and, in his words, not much to work with when the moment came. Nothing had changed in his relationship, diet, or activity level. We looked deeper. His blood pressure readings were fine, but he often felt dry-mouthed and sluggish before noon. When I asked about water intake and whether he ate before his meds, he admitted, "Usually not, I just take them and get moving." We tried something simple. With his cardiologist's help, we shifted the diuretic to mid-afternoon, moved the other pill to after breakfast, and encouraged him to drink a full glass of water before taking anything. 3 weeks later, George came back smiling. "Doc," he said, "I don't know what you did, but I'm waking up feeling like a man again." It wasn't magic, and it was timing, hydration, and a little self-awareness. What often helps is checking in with your doctor about the exact timing of your medications. Ask if your pills truly need to be taken in the early morning, or if they can be shifted to a time when your body is fed, hydrated, and more stable. It's also worth reviewing if you're drinking enough water throughout the day, especially if you're on meds that flush fluids out. Never stop or change medications on your own, but don't be afraid to ask if your current plan is still the best one for you at this stage of life. You're not stuck with routines that no longer serve you. Just like you'd adjust your shoes when they stop fitting right, you can adjust how and when you support your health. You're not being difficult, you're being wise. Your strength doesn't come from pushing through discomfort. It comes from knowing your body deserves balance. And sometimes, that balance starts with simply asking the right question. Let's talk about something so simple most people don't even notice it: starting your morning without moving your body. I'm not talking about intense exercise or going to the gym. I mean the everyday habit of going from bed straight to sitting, in a recliner at the table or in front of the TV, and staying still. For men over 60, this slow start can quietly set the tone for the whole day. When you don't move, blood circulation stays low, especially in areas where strong blood flow matters, like your brain and lower body. Hormones like testosterone also rely on movement to regulate themselves. It's how the body knows you're awake and ready to function. Without that signal, energy stays flat, mood can dip, and over time you may notice that your morning drive, including intimacy, just isn't there anymore. It's not always about age. It's often about how we wake up and whether we ask our body to switch on. One man who really helped me see this up close was Larry, a 71-year-old retired factory supervisor from St. Louis. Larry lived alone, had a calm life and stuck to his routine: get up around 7, sit in his favorite chair with the news on low volume, sip coffee and not move much until almost noon. He told me he felt sluggish lately, slow to think, low interest in intimacy, not sleeping as well either. I asked if he ever walked in the morning, stretched, or even just stood outside. He said no, he just didn't feel the need. That's when I explained how our circulation and hormones depend on a bit of movement to wake up, not just mentally but physically. He looked doubtful but said he'd give it a try. We started small, light stretches in bed, 5 slow marches in place, 1 walk up and down the hallway. After a week, he added a few steps outside. 2 weeks in, he told me something unexpected. "Doc, I had one of those dreams I haven't had in years, the kind that used to wake me up feeling like I was 40 again." I smiled and told him that was the blood flow talking. His energy got better, he felt more alive in his body, and his mornings finally felt like a real start again. What often helps is to give yourself just 5 to 10 minutes of gentle motion after waking. You don't need equipment or fancy routines. Try slowly raising your arms overhead, rotating your shoulders, bending forward a bit, or walking a few loops around your living space. If you feel stiff, start seated. Even arm circles or light leg lifts work. You're not trying to break a sweat, just to send a message to your heart, your muscles, and your hormones. We're awake now, and we're alive. Every morning gives you a blank page. You don't need to run marathons or force anything unnatural. Just move however you can, and the body will thank you. It's a small act, but one that quietly says, "I'm still in here, I still matter, and I choose to begin today." Movement is how life shows itself, and if you start with that, everything else, your energy, your mood, your strength, has a chance to follow. If you recognize yourself in even one of these habits, it's not a reason to feel ashamed. It's a reason to begin. Leave a comment and let us know which one surprised you and what you're willing to try starting tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. This is where we talk about the simple but important steps that keep men healthy and strong. And remember, you're not alone. You're stronger than you think, and life keeps going if you choose to hold it in your hands.